So there's this interesting idea that Žižek talks about in relation to procrastination, and it's more of his personal interpretation of what procrastination is, and he terms it pseudo activity. And he's basically saying, and he matches this within capitalism, or what I would rather call corporate capitalism, is that pseudo activity is doing things but not really doing anything. So you can see this within corporatism, is that we're constantly distracted by all sorts of ads, marketing campaigns, things that we shouldn't really be doing, but we do them, but and in doing them we feel like we're actually doing something when we're not. So for example, watching the recent series that came out on Netflix that everyone's going on about, talking about gossip from celebrities and using that as like the kind of the social rotator of discussion and all this type of stuff, or consuming things that are just not very healthy for you, but we do it anyway because it makes us feel good, and things that are convenient and all this type of stuff. So this is all like basically pseudo activities, basically saying that we engage ourselves in these forms of activity, but we're not really doing anything. It's kind of like pointlessness, and in itself that is his definition of procrastination, when we're doing things that are not actually meaningful, and they're not really authentic actions that propel us in any kind of direction towards anything. They're just very much meaningless actions. So this is what he says: better to do nothing than to engage in localized acts whose ultimate function is to make the system run more smoothly. The threat today is not passivity but pseudo-activity, the urge to be active, to participate, to mask nothingness of what goes on. People intervene all the time, doing something, academics participate in meaningless debates, etc. But the true difficult thing is to step back, to withdraw from it all. So what we can do here, interestingly, in the sense of, what I'm trying to do basically with coaching, like philosophical accountability and all this type of stuff, is to match it towards what the solution would be. So if we have this problem of pseudo-activity, how can we actually fix this fundamental issue that everyone is involved in this kind of Western corporatized capitalistic world? Is that, well, what Seneca talks about when it comes to focused attention. The only way that consumerism breeds in society like a virus is through distraction. You constantly are distracted, which means that your attention is diverted in many different ways, and your attention is not focused on one thing. It's instead focused on millions of different things that are propelled at you with all sorts of propaganda. So, like I said, you'd be watching something on the TV, your attention towards some sort of thing that you can eat, that you can consume, different forms of consumption, all of this type of stuff. And that itself produces procrastination. As I have said, procrastination is not your fault. It is actually something you are born into. It is not something, and this is always the case, people always go on about, procrastination is because your mindset is not right. It's because you've been conditioned to procrastinate. It's because you've been conditioned to continuously do certain things that are not in your favour, because society doesn't favour you succeeding in certain areas of life. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, because that's the reason why we go down the, what people call the blue pill of being ignorant towards these things. But it is true. It's, corporatism and things like this are designed to garner your attention and use you as a facilitator for certain things that they, for energy, in the sense of gaining money off you or manipulating you or using you in certain ways that is not in your favour fundamentally. There's predators out in the world that want to use your energy. As simple as that. You could call it vampirism, or psychic vampiric harvesting, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Something very interesting that Seneca obviously says in relation to this thing of time management is, if you yourself don't choose what thoughts and images you expose yourself to, someone else will. So it's like, if you're in a world of things being thrown at you, and your attention is everywhere, and you're constantly distracted, and you don't know any tools or techniques of how to stay focused on specific things, then it's very difficult for you not to become manipulated by something else which wants to have your attention, and for you to be distracted and for you to facilitate some sort of thing in which that wants. So it's like, someone else will use your attention if you don't have the power of using it yourself, or your time. And this is what he's fundamentally saying. Pseudo-activity is that. Procrastination is that when you're distracted, things are taken from you, your attention is taken away from you, and you cannot actually get any real work fundamentally accomplished. So when it comes to that is also one of, Seneca's, who's a Stoic philosopher, as everyone, who's probably watching this knows, is that, he's a Stoic philosopher, and one of his rules is you need to maintain the ability of having focused attention. And if you have focused attention, then you are not going to get easily distracted. Your attention is not going to be manipulated against you to profitize off your attention and your human nature and all of this. And you're not going to procrastinate. You're going to procrastinate a lot less. And you could agree to some extent that capitalism does produce procrastination. Because like I said, the reason why you procrastinate is not because of you, but because you're born into it. And it's a 50-50 ratio when it comes to this type of thing. It's like, mentality is a big thing, but who are the people that are making things convenient so that you procrastinate more? Who are the people that are trying to make your life a lot more softer so that you procrastinate and don't do the hard things that you need to do, like fail multiple times at things, so that you do in the end actually succeed? And this is not what is being taught in society. Instead, we are using the comforts of, first world countries or second world countries to facilitate more procrastination so that we don't succeed in certain things that we want to fundamentally succeed in. So in conclusion, it basically is that consumer society breeds from divided attention, not focused attention, divided attention, and causes a people to chronically procrastinate by participating on pseudo-activity rather than real activity. Real activity only comes from directed attention. Pseudo-activity only comes from divided attention. If you found value in this video, yet are struggling with self-defeating habits of procrastination, lack of motivation or discipline, leading you against your goals and ambitions in your personal or professional life, I am offering you a free one-on-one procrastination strategy call where we can sit down together and develop a personalized action plan that will lead you on a proven path towards growth and success. So if you are interested and want to get rid of these unproductive patterns from your life, make sure to sign up via the link in description. I look forward to talking with you very soon.